Do you owe it to anybody to be as healthy as possible?
You gotta be so good that they can't ignore you, especially the ones that ain't done shit for you. Yeah, you know exactly what I mean. They stab you in the back and then they ask why you're bleeding. I don't trust words, I trust actions. I don't care what you heard, I'm not slacking.
My name is Alan Roberts. This is Everyday Fitness. Like, subscribe, click the notification button over there. Share my video, subscribe to my second channel, Alan Roberts. In my opinion, of course, but above and below at the end. Thank you very much. So yesterday on my Instagram, that is Everyday Fitness on Instagram. You should go follow that if you want to see the post that I'm going to be talking about here in just a second. So I reshared a post from somebody, and I do that fairly often because they'll post something I think will be interesting, either positive or negative, and I will add my thoughts to it and regran, which is something that Instagram does, everything that they have said. So I want to make sure that I don't cut out anything they said. I want to make sure that they can have their statement, and I just add my logic to it, either positive or negative or whatever. So yesterday, I reshared, a post from this person, and it reads, "Don't you owe it to yourself to be as healthy as you can? I get that question a lot." Now, I personally believe that you owe health to yourself. You absolutely owe the best quality of life to yourself and the longest life to yourself as possible. I believe that when you place short-term enjoyment over long-term prosperity, I believe you are shorting yourself. I do believe you owe the best quality of life to yourself as possible. That is my personal opinion, and I think that's just logical. To me, that just makes sense. You want to be around as long as possible. If you do not, if for some reason you're okay with not being around as long as possible, you should probably seek out some counseling about that, because that is not a healthy relationship with yourself. That is absolutely not. And if for some reason, no matter what, if you are overindulging or if you are indulging in behaviors that are just detrimental to your health, you should stop those and get help for them. If you are overindulging in, things such as food, or underindulging in food, or overindulging in alcohol or things like that, or if you have a problem with these things, you should get help. You should try to live as long of a life as possible. You owe it to yourself. But this young lady went on to then say, "Nope. Health is not the priority of my life. Loving myself and the people around me, husband, kids, dogs, neighbors, coworkers, strangers, as being fully myself. Instead of obsessing about, quote, being as healthy as possible, end quote, I recognize that a lot of it is outside of my control. I practice," and she misspelled it wrong, "intuitive eating, cultivating a good relationship with food, and joyful moments." And here is where I upset half the audience. Because in my opinion, of course, if you have children and a significant other, you absolutely owe them good health. You absolutely owe them the healthiest you can be, physically and mentally. You absolutely owe them the healthiest version of you can be for your longevity, so they don't have to take care of you because you ate yourself or starved yourself or drank yourself or smoked yourself into poor health. You absolutely owe it to them to be there to take care of them as they get older instead of them taking care of you. You absolutely owe it to your loved ones to live as long and as high of a quality as life as possible so you can be there for their life events, so you can put them first. In my opinion, of course. And if that pisses you off, leave now. I don't give a shit. I am not talking about the very teeny tiny percentage of somebody that is like, if you are morbidly obese and you have PCOS and you're busting your ass and you're trying to get healthy and you're trying to be as healthy as you can, and you have other very serious health complications that is stopping you from either losing weight or gaining weight, I'm not talking to you. You are busting your ass. You are being the healthiest version of you as possible. Good for you. Get at it, motherfuckers. Congratulations. But if you are morbidly obese and you're going out to eat at fast food 4 times a week and you're eating garbage food and you're being sedentary, your children are watching. If you can go to a mirror, if you smoke too much, drink too much, if you are too skinny and want to stay in not doing anything about it, if you are morbidly obese and not doing anything about it, and you have children or a husband or a wife or a significant other or whatever you have, go to the mirror after you're done watching this video, and if you can look at yourself and say, I want this life for my significant others. If I want this life for my children. If you're a 400-pound person and you're eating like garbage every day and not doing something to try to be the healthiest version of you, and you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I want this for my child, then maybe you should seek some help. Maybe you should seek some counseling. If you're a type 2 diabetic and you are still taking in all sorts of sugar in a day and you have children, maybe you should seek some help, some psychological counseling. Maybe you should seek some help with that, because you are somebody's parent. You are somebody's world. You are in somebody's entire world. They look to you for everything. They look to you as an example. They look to you to care for them. They look for you to be there for them. They have a life built around you because you are their parent. You absolutely owe health to them. And to move on from them, because this person does bring up strangers and neighbors and everything like that, in a society such as the UK and America, especially the UK, where we have shared healthcare costs, you absolutely owe it to society to try to be as healthy as possible. I keep seeing this recurring theme like, well, we don't do this to smokers and smokers this and smokers that, blah, blah, blah. We literally made it so it was socially unacceptable to smoke places. We absolutely did. You cannot smoke certain places. And very realistically, if you are in America and you smoke, they charge you more for health insurance. So if you want us to treat obesity and eating disorders that way, which I don't believe we should. I should believe we should treat it as a mental health care issue. I believe we should treat it as an education issue. I believe that's how we should treat it. But if you want to bring that argument up, those people pay more for health care in our society. They absolutely pay more for health care. And they should, because they have more chronic illnesses and they develop cancers at a faster rate than people that don't smoke, just like people that are morbidly obese. If you look at these statistics, the difference in emergency room costs for patients presenting with chest pains compared with a normal weight patient. Overweight is 22% higher, obese is 28% higher, and severely obese is 41% higher. A lot of that has to do with the resources used, including personnel, because it takes more to move, to transport a morbidly obese person. It takes different equipment, but it also takes more bodies. The number one injury for nurses right now is lower back injuries from transporting patients, and it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it is directly correlated to the increase in size of the patient. Obesity is one of the biggest drivers of preventable chronic diseases and healthcare costs in the United States. Current estimates for these costs range from $147 billion to nearly $210 billion a year. And these are 2016 numbers, by the way. In addition, obesity is associated with job absenteeism, costing approximately $4.3 billion annually, and with lower productivity while at work, costing employers $506 per obese worker per day. Obese adults spend 42% more on direct healthcare costs than adults who are of a healthy weight. Per capita healthcare costs for severely obese or morbidly obese adults, BMI of greater than 40, are 81% higher than for healthy weight adults. In 2000, around $11 billion was spent on medical expenditures for morbidly obese in the US. Moderately obese individuals, BMI between 30 and 35, are more than twice as likely as healthy weight individuals to be prescribed prescription pharmaceuticals to manage medical conditions. Now, I can already hear the arguments because I said BMI, and people are going to be like, well, BMI is shit and it doesn't mean anything. If you're above 35 BMI, guess what? It's talking to you. I understand that there's some anomalies with it, and I talk about it often, and there's other ways. If you look at waist to height ratio and waist to hip ratio and body fat percentage, I get it, but if you're at a 35 BMI and up, you're unhealthy. It's just how it is, and those statistics prove it. The thing is, we as a society, since this young lady brought up her neighbors and strangers, if you want to bring up neighbors and strangers, we all share in society. We all share in the burden that we have by all of our diseases. We absolutely do. We have shared healthcare costs in the United States, and they have the NHS in UK. So it is absolutely a shared responsibility. So when people just say, you can't say I'm healthy if I'm, by looking at me, first of all, we know that's just a lie. That is just something that's said because people do not want to view themselves as unhealthy. That is absolutely something that's said like that. Because you can look at somebody, and if their waist is as big around as they are tall, they're not healthy, period. It's just, they're not healthy just by what it's doing to their joints. If somebody is eating high sugared foods and they're already type 2 diabetic, they're not healthy. If you're a type 2 diabetic and you're eating unhealthy foods and you're eating a lot of sugar still, you have children, you need to change that today. And I'm not shaming you. That's not me shaming you. That's me telling you that you are setting that example. You're setting an example of having type 2 diabetes and eating and not trying your best to manage it while injecting insulin. You absolutely owe it to your children to set the example that you're going to do your very best. I don't understand how we've gotten here where people don't think that they owe health, literally to be the best version of themselves, to be the healthiest version of themselves, even to their children. I don't know how society has gotten here. I really, really don't. And I understand people are going to be like, oh, he's just trolling and he's just being mean and this and that. If you can actually look at yourself in the mirror and say you want an unhealthy lifestyle for your children, I would argue, like, we take children away from people, like from alcoholics that won't stop drinking. You realize that, right? I mean, the argument, like people list off other unhealthy behaviors. Smoking around your child is irresponsible. They are your children. You should try to have the best life for them as possible. Even if you've screwed yours up, even if you've screwed up your body, even if you've screwed up your health, you have a child. You should try the very best to make sure that they see you being as healthy as possible, that you give them the healthiest example as possible. I don't understand how we've gotten here. I don't get it. But the rhetoric is ridiculous. Be pretty. Be beautiful. Be what you want. Wear whatever bikini you want. Wear whatever clothes you want. I don't care if you're too thin. I don't care if you are underweight. I don't care if you are listed as severely, morbidly obese. If you want to wear a bikini, do it. If you want to wear a Speedo and you're a guy, do it. I don't care about that shit. I don't. I honestly don't. I could not give a shit about any of that stuff. I care about what you're doing to society by saying you're healthy at that weight, that you are fine at that weight. I care what people say. We don't have an alcoholic acceptance movement. We don't. We don't have that for a reason. We don't have a smoking acceptance movement for a reason. I'm not saying anybody should be shamed. I am just stating that these things are very factual. And when you are an adult and have a child, you owe it to that child to actually be an adult, to actually look out for them. You owe it to that child to put yourself last before the child. Okay, you want to be pretty? That's fine. Be pretty on your time. Be a parent full time. That's just my 2 cents in the matter. My name's Alan Roberts. Hit me up on Instagram at Everyday Fitness. Hit me up on Twitter at Everyday Fit. I'm also on Facebook at Everyday Fitness and on my internet at everydamndayfitness.net. Now, I know this upsets some of you, but sometimes shit just got to be said. Goddamn.